Welcome, everyone, to Haven of Horror. As always, I'm subject Robert Torgo. We're talking about Saw.
Ooh. Oh, wait, Saw?
Yeah.
I thought we were watching Slaw.
No. Well,
just call me
I think
Slaw.
this does say Slaw, actually.
Okay, good. Then I got the right movie.
This is the 4K Steelbook. Mine got dented somehow, but it's fine. Really nice release.
Rip.
Yeah.
Nice.
Back when Best Buy sold these things.
Does that there's a 4K collection of the whole series, right?
No. Just Blu-ray. As far as I'm aware, the only ones that are on 4K are 1, maybe 9, and 10.
Okay. They should do a complete collection in 4K.
I thought there was like a mega box set that came out recently, but maybe that was just Blu-ray.
I think it might have been just Blu-ray.
That was the one that I showed you. It's like 20 discs because they put all 10 on Blu-ray and DVD.
How would you do that?
Oh, wow.
In
like,
fact,
I appreciate it when DVDs are included, but you can't do it with that many movies.
Oh, he's gonna go get it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fine that the DVDs are included, but like you said, when it's that many movies,
yeah. So
it's not
this,
worth it.
Do you really need it?
This is what you're thinking of.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Look at this thing.
It's big. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, what I'm probably gonna pick up.
They're not even in order. Saw 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, and 9.
It's a game, John.
I assumed that they would do the thing that some sets do, where they have 2 separate cases for all of the Blu-rays and the DVDs.
That's what his Jurassic World set did.
Yeah, but they crammed them all into one. That's crazy.
Yeah, and some of them don't like to stick in here, but I have all of them now.
Friggin' Lions.
You can knock somebody over the head with this thing.
What I want to get is there's a 7-film collection of 1 through 7 that's just Blu-ray and also has the digital copies for them, and they're the unrated editions. It's under $20. I'll just get that. Then I only have 3 more movies to get after that. So I didn't plan on purchasing that.
Well, you don't need Jigsaw. Or not Jigsaw, Spiral, yes. Jigsaw is actually not bad.
Okay. It's interesting that I think I've heard both of you say that, because when Jigsaw comes out, I remember it being like, oh, we haven't done a Saw in a while. This is kind of a relaunch, and then nope. Just kind of came and went, and then when they tried Spiral and
no, I was
turned out.
surprised. I was not expecting to enjoy it all that much, but I thought it was.
They
one
just
of the
made
better
a Saw
entries,
movie.
honestly. Yeah, unlike Spiral.
If you want to hear Chris Rock screaming for an hour and a half.
But we're not talking about those. Today we're talking about the first one.
The first one, 20 years. Can you guys believe that? This kind of,
Yeah.
I don't want to be hyperbolic, but in my opinion, kind of revitalizes the horror franchise. Because, you know, mid-90s, post-90s, we don't have a lot of franchises.
I think around the same time you had Scream, and that was very much looking back, commenting on previous.
Well, Scream is 95.
Yeah, but they're making movies into the 2000s, right?
Well, with Scream, you first get a sequel that they rush out, just a year later, and then there's a little break, and then there's 3. But 3 though is intended as the ending. That's what, like 2000, 2001 or something. That's before this.
Okay,
maybe that is intended as an end.
Maybe there is a bit of a gap then. I assume Scream 3 was like 03, 04 or something.
But even then,
Saw, it's like,
yeah, it's just like the Scream wasn't a franchise,
right? And then with Saw, it's like those Jason movies or those Freddy movies where you'd get one almost every year for a while. I can't think of a franchise that has that many entries in the 90s.
Yeah, because this goes from 04 to 2012. And I don't know, I don't think it's yearly right away, but at some point, yeah, we're pumping one out every year. And you can tell.
You can tell. You can tell.
So I come into this around Saw 3. I'm pulling up the timeline now. But then after that, like, I saw all of these in theaters with my dad. Up until 7, and then I kind of check out, so I don't see Jigsaw until closer to when Spiral is coming out. Okay, so I'm wrong. No, it is yearly, like right away, up until 2010.
Well, and when Saw 7's coming out, that is marketed as the last one.
People are tired of them.
Right, and that's the 3D one.
Mm-hmm. Which is the worst one, other than Spiral.
Oh no! Is that the Hello Fellow Kid one? When you see him?
No, that is 6. That is 6.
Can't wait to get to that one.
6 is awesome because it has like an insurance commentary on it they're trying to do, but it's a Saw movie.
It's very strange. Yeah.
All right, is everybody ready?
Well, okay, here's an important question we should have asked before we started. Which version are we watching?
Shit.
It just dawned on me right now because I saw that Max has both versions.
Yeah. I'm guessing that most of the unrated versions of these movies are like a minute longer, just with some more gore and swearing. Yeah. Not to my fault. I mean, so I could be wrong. I don't think having.
This says it's 103 minutes. So that's an hour and a half.
An hour and 44.
An hour 44-ish. How long is your version, Robert?
Mine's just like a minute shorter than that.
Yours is an hour 43?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I can't read. It says right here, Saw unrated.
Okay, I have the unrated version here, then I'll pull that up right now.
I mean, to be fair, though, that is really hard to read.
Yeah, I can't even see that. I mean, I'm watching this on Max, so I'm just watching what I got.
If there's a minute, like, that's not going to be. It's not going to be like when we watched Jason Goes to Hell, and Austin only had the theatrical cut, and we had the unrated.
That was... Yeah, if only we were recording that would have been a great commentary.
Oh my god, I really wish we had. What other movie was it we did recently that had that?
Are you thinking of when we were trying to watch the Simpsons Family Guy crossover?
Oh
Yes.
What a
Like,
nightmare that
yeah.
was.
We were just hanging out watching the Simpsons Family Guy crossover. Don't ask how we got to that, but Austin's version was somehow different in Canada.
Yeah, one was longer. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, I think it might have been the version we were watching.
So I've
But
obviously seen this movie a lot. I have not actually watched the 4K transfer, so I have no idea how it looks. So I think that'll be interesting, just on my end. And then Robert, this is only your second time actually watching it through. So I do want to ask before we get into it, did you like the movie?
I did like it.
Okay. Were you grossed out by the torture porn?
No, and it's kind of funny that this movie, you know, has such an infamous reputation for a while. This franchise of torture porn, gore, all that stuff, and then this movie's gotten a lot of reappraisal in recent years. As like, you know, this actually wasn't torture porn. It's a lot of psychological stuff. It's a lot of suggested stuff. There isn't a lot of stuff on screen. It's still a pretty gross movie. Like start to finish, like it is a gross movie to look at. You know, deliberately so. But I did go in knowing that, okay, this isn't going to be like the Hostel movies. This is not nonstop gore. Or there's a couple big moments we'll get to. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
The sequels definitely lean more into the like, what outrageous traps can we come up with this time, which is part of the fun.
Yeah, and I don't know if this movie deserves sole credit for it, because there's a lot of stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s I haven't seen, but it does feel like a shift back to a horror movie for adults about adults that is very serious. You get very little comedy here. It doesn't have that Scream influence that had kind of dominated the prior decade. Because even something like Final Destination, you know, it's not as
very
meta
teen
or funny,
oriented,
but it still has the teen demographic that's going for it. So
you know, this is kind of a reset for the genre, because 2004 is also, you know, we're just 1 year past Texas Chainsaw 2003. Now this was kind of the beacon for original franchise horror in the early 2000s, because everything else was remakes.
That's true. And then I think the next couple franchises we get are like Conjuring, Insidious, The Purge, you know, that type of stuff.
So I remember this because I got really mad when they stopped making Saw movies, because I could see, well, this is what's meant to replace that. So Paranormal Activity comes out towards the end of this franchise's original run, and then it moves into The Purge. And The Purge is kind of what replaces these as a yearly release. Because The Conjuring was never really yearly until after 2, when they started doing those spin-offs.
Right. If you count the spin-offs, then it's like one almost every year.
Yeah. But none of them for me have, I mean, I still got to see the Purge movies. I hate the Conjuring movies. I think they're really lame. Interestingly, though, same director. This is James Wan's first film.
Yeah.
And his only good one.
Right?
He does Insidious too. I think Lee Winnell is also involved in that too, or maybe he's just a producer.
He's a writer, and I think he acts in it. I've only seen that movie once.
Okay,
I shouldn't say only, because I like Malignant.
We all know how great of an actor he is too.
All right. Anyway, is everybody at timestamp 0?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, because I'm watching, mine has like for anyone else potentially watching this on Max, there's an HBO presentation up front. So I'm assuming where we're starting is the Lionsgate logo.
I just started right after the HBO logo. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. In 3, 2, 1, play. And obviously, this is the next horror icon in Tobin Bell's Jigsaw, but he's barely in this movie.
But the scenes that he is in, he makes it work. Like they save him.
Well, no, you talked about this when we just watched the movies. Even the bad ones are watchable when he's on screen
because of him, right? Yeah. And you do get the better stuff about the sequels is that you do get a lot more information about him. So he's the thing that kind of holds them together as worse as they get.
Yeah, it's becomes funny. It's like, how can we justify a flashback?
Yeah.
So Robert, let me ask you, because you're the newbie here. Do you care about spoilers for future movies in this franchise? Should we avoid talking about that?
Maybe just exclude Saw X. So I mean, I don't know how much there is really to spoil because I know a lot of the spoilers in previous movies, but like I'm pretty open to whatever it comes to mind. I do have questions.
I really love that shot there with the light going down the sink because you have no idea what that means until the end of the movie. I think this is the only movie in the franchise that earns its twist. Because Robert, that is the formula.
Rewarding. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say that's something that's rewarding on rewatch too, when you see that again and you realize the significance of it.
Yeah, but Robert, that will become the formula. Is we have to think up an insane twist at the end of each movie. Which is kind of what I like about them. I like the twist, even if it doesn't make sense. It's fun.
You a Shyamalan fan?
I like some Shyamalan movies.
Wish I was.
I do like the way we start. I like starting in the dark, the way we're thrown into this situation, and I will say, I probably like James Wan as a director more than most. Like he's always trying to be creative with the camera, and like he doesn't make stock movies. I mean, I haven't seen *Malignant*, but I've heard that movie's insane, and really over the top. And just goes for it. So I don't know. Maybe someone who just needs a good screenwriter. But I don't think he's a bad director.
No, I even enjoyed the first Aquaman movie. I mean, it's not great, but
yeah, most of my issues with that movie are the script.
I don't have a problem with one. Like, I think this is a well-directed film. It's just I don't like the projects he chooses. Like I said, I don't like the Conjuring movies. I find them very stock, basic, teenager horror. So this guy in our kind of eyes in Adam. That is Lee Winnell, who went on to direct the Invisible Man remake.
And the Wolfman coming up.
Yay.
Did you see that trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a great teaser. Well, and I actually
should be the target audience for that. I don't like the original.
But I do like his Invisible Man movie, and I've heard his movie Upgrade is great.
I need to see it.
And he's stuck in here with Robin Hood.
Is it crazy they got him for this?
Kinda. I mean, they also have Danny Glover in a lead role in this.
That's true. That they're both actors though that are kind of in this point in time a little past their prime or past like their most successful popularity.
They're probably the two biggest names. Like the sequels don't have actors as famous as them. I don't think. Except for like Spiral, Chris Rock.
Well, right, and Samuel L. Jackson. But with Cary Elwes, it's like it's kind of crazy to see him in a movie like this, just because we're not used to it. It's also not unusual for a middle-aged actor like this to get this type of project. You know, like he was never like superstar A-list, but he was in a few popular movies. You know, I like Princess Bride a lot. You know, Robin Hood, Men in Tights. So like it's not uncommon to see a middle-aged actor like get kind of roped into horror, or just because they're a little bit more. They're like the kind of affordable, big-ish name. But he's good at it. Yeah. The accent's not great.
So a couple things to note. I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is James Wan and Lee Winnell's student film turned into a big budget film. They filmed a version of this. It's called Saw 0.5, where it's just them, and it's this concept, and they sold that to make this movie. This movie was made for about $1 million. She's crazy nowadays. And it made $100 million.
It doesn't look that cheap.
Yeah, well, one of the most profitable movies ever, at least at the time.
Yeah, no, this was huge.
And then, so have you seen the short film? Is it available, or
I have
has it
not
really not
seen
been
it. I
seen
would be
much?
curious. Actually, I've
I
never
I
thought to look
would
at it.
go out on a I would go out on a limb and say it's probably uploaded to YouTube.
Maybe, because one I could compare that to would be like the Evil Dead franchise. There's
Hmm.
Raimi and
Yeah.
Campbell's short film. I think it's called Within the Woods, and I've
Yes.
tried to watch that, but I've only found it in the worst quality imaginable. Like it was just unwatchable.
Oh,
Like that's never had an official release, and I think it'd be neat to see that.
is that not
Cleaned up.
included as special features on like the DVDs or
Nope.
Blu-rays or? Oh,
No,
interesting.
there's probably a featurette where they like talk about it. I'm sure they talk
Yeah.
about it on the commentary and stuff, but I don't think you can just watch the whole thing. Like officially.
Oh,
The problem
okay.
within the woods is that shot on like 8 millimeter or eight something like that, which just isn't very good.
Mhm.
I do
Oh, yeah,
see a
like
few
Super
videos
8
on
camera.
yeah, Super 8. That's what I'm thinking of. I do see a few videos, Robert, called Saw 0.5, and they're about like 10 minutes. So I don't know if that's what it is. I'll have to check that out.
We'll watch it after.
Immediately,
Yeah,
Noah, because you're familiar with the sequels. This sets up like all the iconography and the style for the rest of the series.
It does. And yeah, I just think it's a really effective opening scene in general. And it's a great idea for a short film. Like, if you didn't know that going in that this was someone's student film, I think you could probably tell just watching this scene. Not that that's a bad thing or anything. Like, it's just a great idea for a small short and just like the premise, the opening scene of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I really like
Yeah.
this setup where you have characters just trapped in a location, and you got to be creative with how you shoot it, the objects, what the location is, things they can find or use, or the puzzle. Like that stuff's great. We recently saw something similar with the Black Phone, which is a kid locked
Oh,
up in
yeah.
his basement, and that movie's really creative with the different objects or things he has access to and his attempted escapes. So I just really like this trope, especially in horror movies.
Same.
And we never
You see that in
quite
stuff
have
with
a
like
trap like this again.
no, because they get ridiculous later. I mean, they're pretty grounded for the most part in this movie.
I think the
You
most
could say
absurd one is just the reverse bear trap.
Yeah, do you think that gets a little too big for this movie, or is it doesn't work?
It's so iconic, it doesn't bother me at all. It's just like, oh, cool, that starts with the
Yeah.
first movie.
Yeah, I've never thought of that just because it is so synonymous with the franchise. No, the game, it takes it to an absurd degrees. There's a game on the PS3 and 360 where you run into like dozens of people wearing the damn things.
They got to put it in there. It's the iconic trap.
And I guess we'll get to it when we get to it. There are a lot of unanswered questions here, some of which I already know the answers to because spoilers. Do you think when they're making this, they already have most of the stuff in mind for two? Or do you think some of that stuff feels trying to be vague, but do you think some of that stuff feels retconny? Or like they're just how much do you think was planned out when they're making this one?
I think
Well, I don't know,
Winnell
'cause
writes the first three, so I think Winnell probably had ideas. But I don't know. I think they play it kind of like a traditional movie where it's like, well, if this does well, we've got places we can go, but if not, I mean, you get a complete piece.
Well, later we're gonna see a character in a pig mask who I think I know the identity of, and I'm just wondering, like, do you think they know when they're making this, or do you think that idea comes when they make the next movie? Just as a question.
That's hard, just because yeah, I saw that movie before this one, so I already knew about it.
Okay.
I think It is a little retconny, but it works here. It gets absurd because we keep doing that idea. So we can spoil it. It is a 20-year-old franchise. Who do you think it is? I'll tell you if it is or isn't.
I think it's Amanda. Just because of stuff I know about from some of the other movies. And that's a character I just think of as kind of one of the faces of this franchise. And she's only really had one sequence in this, so that surprised me a little. I thought she was like a more
I will tell you. I will tell you. You are correct.
Okay. I mean, I was pretty sure about that because I've seen like clips and
she's in Dead by Daylight.
She is in Dead by Daylight. So like that was something that surprised me just watching this and still watching the sequels is, oh, we don't even get that twist yet. And she's only really in one sequence.
No, and I really like Amanda. That voice is just so good.
And I'm coming at it from an interesting perspective because I've seen all the sequels except for X.
Oh yeah, so you haven't seen X yet.
I haven't seen X yet. Yeah, so I don't know because I know that they bring Amanda back for that, but I don't know exactly what they do in that one.
X is hard to spoil because it's a prequel. So like, unless you're like Robert that hasn't seen sequels, you know that nothing of major consequence is going to happen because the timeline is already set.
But part of me thinks they might reveal information that recontextualizes certain things, and I don't know. I've heard great things about that movie, so I'm interested.
It's so good.
Yeah, that's good. We're just
gonna make Robert watch all 10, and then he's gonna never talk to us again.
I'll get through all of them. Hey man, I would much rather watch this whole franchise than the Hellraiser franchise.
I mean, this is better than the Hellraiser franchise.
I think I would too.
We got to do those too, though.
Of the sequels to Hellraiser.
That is so early 2000s, like a tape recorder.
We have to explain to all the young people watching what a tape recorder is.
So this is the first thing that makes me go, ugh.
And I get that they're going for the gross factor, and the shock value, and then it's a bit of a joke. I would have started with lifting the lid and checking that first on top. I don't know. I haven't been in this situation yet, so but the first thing I'm doing is not digging in the toilet.
You assume you're gonna be in this situation.
I think it works because he is
this movie.
I think it works though because he is kind of an idiot. Like,
right. I'm not saying it's a plot hole. I'm just like, if I'm in this situation, like when I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking, yeah, take the lid off. It's probably in there. I've seen Breaking Bad. That's where you hide your phone.
Yeah.
Wait, do you think that Breaking Bad was inspired by this movie?
Could have been.
I think that Jigsaw and Gus are actually working together. There's going to be a crossover at some point.
I buy it.
But no, I mean, that's why you got to watch the rest of these movies, Robert, so you know what to do in this situation.
Or what not to do.
I also know
what not to do.
I'm also looking at those chains. I'm like, yeah, that saw's going to break. This isn't going to work. But it's the title of the movie. We got a title.
So I don't question him doing it. I do kind of question the surgeon doing this.
Yeah, he
Well, I think he does not want to do the thing that he ends up doing later.
And I did tell Robert about the twist at Saw 7.
You do know about that, right?
Yeah, it's just crazy that that's like currently still the end of this franchise chronologically speaking. Except for Spiral, but that's a different.
That's like a spinoff from the Book of Saw.
Yep, like
it's strange
Star Wars,
because
a Saw story.
it's strange because it's a spin-off, but they still count it.
Yeah, it's like
Saw
9.
X isn't Saw 9, you know? Yeah. So it is an entry in the franchise, despite being marketed as a spin-off.
They also couldn't literally call it Saw 9 or Saw 10 because that would be a nightmare to explain to people.
Yeah.
Like, no,
Well,
no,
it was
it's Saw,
called
Saw 2,
Jigsaw.
Saw 9, Saw 3.
Yeah. I mean, it already is kind of hard to explain. Because now they've gone back to Saw X.
Because Saw 7, I believe, when it comes out, is called Saw 3D. Like, I think that's the official title.
Yes.
Or like Saw the Final Chapter, I see it as well.
Yeah. They went for the old final chapter trick, Robert. It never works. Well, and then like Saw 8 is just Jigsaw. Oh, sorry.
This little scene surprised me. It's creative and gross, and also like, oh, yeah, no, there's still some messed up stuff in this movie.
That's the guy from X3.
It is the guy from X3. He's in a lot of
stuff. The spiky guy. This whole side of the story is very reminiscent and very clearly looking at 7.
Yes.
At least that's what I think.
And we're probably gonna have an argument about this because I love Danny Glover. He's really fun. I think a lot of the subplot's really unnecessary when you get to the end of this movie.
Interesting. Okay.
But maybe they bring him back, which could help justify it. They're kind of vague, but when he gets to the end, I'm like, oh, that's the payoff. Okay.
So one thing I will say, because I always forget that this lady cop here is in this, she will be an important player throughout the first 3.
Okay. I think my big issue with this movie is I think there's a lot of padding. I think there are more flashbacks than there need to be. Okay, and then there are flashbacks within flashbacks. There's gonna be a scene with Danny Glover later that then cuts back to present day Danny Glover. Like, oh, that was a flashback.
Okay.
I thought this was happening in the present day.
I won't disagree with you, but it's going to get so much worse. Saw 5 exists solely to explain the twist of Saw 4.
Okay. And, okay, so I have 2 hangups with this movie. One,
editing.
I think there's a lot of padding. 2, editing. A lot of obnoxious early 2000s editing.
It was the time.
Yeah. Takes me right out.
That's also going to stick around for at least for most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just looks goofy. It just looks really silly now. Like, I imagine someone watching this at the time, probably getting scared or uncomfortable by that. But now it just looks really cheesy.
Yeah, for sure.
I get that this movie is really shocking, even in the context of when this comes out. I still find 7 a way more disturbing movie than that.
Oh, same.
Even if I see this in 2004, I don't think I'm as disturbed by this movie as I am by 7, which is much more of a slow burn.
That is more disturbing, like in themes and ideas. This is more like, oh my god, I can't believe I just saw that.
Yeah, again, it just depends on what you've seen.
This movie relies more on shock value.
Yeah, but 7
is very nihilistic.
Got a couple gross scenes. There's the scene, the gluttony guy. Like, that's gross stuff.
And you will never hear me disagree that 7 is a better movie. Like, 7 is amazing. But no, like, this goes to places that 7 doesn't.
And also, like you said, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake comes out just a year before this, and they're very similar, like, just stylistically or aesthetically, and in terms of the gross factor.
Danny Glover's character is actually the subject of the first game.
Oh, that's fun.
And they did not get Danny Glover, if you can believe it.
Oh, they didn't get Danny Glover for a tie-in video game? Shocking.
Well, and funnily enough, Robert, he is also in Dead by Daylight, or his character is. He was the survivor they pair with the pig.
That's cool. Yeah, I probably just didn't realize that was supposed to be a character.
I mean, to be fair, it looks nothing like him.
this isn't as effective when you're familiar with the franchise going in, because I'm watching this going, hey, look, that's Jigsaw. He's on the bed.
There's
Yeah, it's very
Joker from
distracting.
Dark Knight Returns.
That's who that is. Yeah.
Okay, so when we first get that glimpse of Michael Emerson, it's like, oh, cool. That's nice to see him for a second. I don't know how much stuff he was in at this point, so you just see him for a second, and then there will be scenes later where I'm like, okay, that's obviously Michael Emerson, and they hold off on that reveal for a really long time. I'm like, it's obviously Michael Emerson,
Which is weird because then it's also a fake out.
Yeah, it's like half a fake out.
Because the movie really wants you to think he's Jigsaw.
So, do you buy, just in the context of this movie, like, do you buy Danny Glover's obsession with this guy? That's gonna kind of
Not really
later.
Yeah, just because I've seen that before. His partner gets killed, and he hyperfixates.
My problem is, we'll get to it later, but he almost took down Jigsaw, and I get that he's wearing a hood, but that guy's clearly not Cary Elwes. Like, he sounds nothing like him.
He's using a voice changer.
Jigsaw is my favorite supervillain.
He's great. Or superhero, depending on your perspective.
I'd say he's a hero.
Okay, I know some of the later movies, especially X, really try to humanize Jigsaw more, and I know the victims get, I think, progressively more awful as the sequels go on. In the context of this movie, like, Jigsaw is very twisted and just a straight up villain, because his morality and excuses for these people dying, it's like, this is really flimsy. Like, most of these people aren't that bad.
Jigsaw in this movie I find interesting just on an academic level. Like, it's interesting that this person could get to this place, but it is that sequelitis thing where we got to start to. He's kind of the hero by Saw, 4. That's who you're here for. So he has to be at least somewhat sympathetic.
It's that slasher franchise thing of, you're rooting for the slasher, you're rooting for Jason to win. In
James Wan's mind, and to some degree Lee Winnell, because Lee Winnell is also kind of responsible for that. Like I said, he writes the first 3. In this movie, he is much definitively the bad guy.
Yeah. But more evidence that he's a superhero is in one of the sequels. He's even got his own secret identity outfit with the backwards hat. So, that's a civilian clothes.
They should have cast him as Jimmy Olsen in Smallville.
Yes. Elderly Jimmy Olsen.
So this is Shawnee Smith playing Amanda. She's awesome. She pops up in things that I didn't even know she was in. Like, she's in that 90s miniseries of The Stand.
Oh, cool. There is one shot coming up I do like where the camera, I think it's coming up where the camera's spinning around her. That looks pretty good for 2004. But just a lot of this editing and stuff's like, nah.
It's
slow down.
Enhanced with the sped up footage.
Yeah, and the ramping up footage. It's like, stop.
And what I really like about 2 is not anything plot specific, just like the general. That movie takes it in. They're trapped in a house full of traps, so it's kind of like a Home Alone thing, which I think is really cool. But that is where you get her reveal, and her relationship with Jigsaw I find very interesting.
And I think that is set up.
And the puppet is iconic. This is the thing everybody made fun of in the early 2000s, like every parody movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's a big old movie.
Just having that thing in your mouth would have to hurt, though.
Yep.
This is what Robert's waiting for. He's going to wake up one day to be like that.
You can be like, I know how to get out of the bear trap.
And again, or talking about him being a villain, there's also logistic things or things where it's like you just gotta go with the movie, where we'll see that she'll struggle with the key because her hands are gonna get wet with blood. It's like, yeah, that's not like if she failed and died. It's like, yeah, Jigsaw. That doesn't mean she didn't want to live. It's just you really rigged the game against her. Like the odds of this working out were extremely flimsy. Why didn't it kill her? She let herself die. Cool. Like, no, she was trying. Yeah.
Yeah, if only it wasn't edited like this.
Yep.
No, I don't mind it in this shot.
Yeah, when it's spinning around like that looks pretty neat.
Especially because the flashback, like her mind is obviously traumatized.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I've never really seen these movies before, but I've always been fascinated by the concept. For the longest time, I was like, man, I really want a Saw kind of take on the Riddler and Batman, and then we kind of get that in the Arkham games, particularly City, and then you really kind of get that in the Batman for Matt Reeves. So I finally got it. Because just the stuff with the games and the traps, it's all really creative and cool.
Yeah. No, and I mean, even when the sequels get dumb and like have to start retconning each other to make the continuity work, the traps are always creative to some degree.
I'd actually say Jigsaw is maybe like a very important aspect in like changing like the modern iteration of the Riddler, because it feels like most versions now are informed by Jigsaw.
Mm-hmm.
And I said his name earlier. The guy that's playing Jigsaw wouldn't have been a bad Riddler.
No, Tobin Bell.
Tobin Bell.
Yeah, that's it. Who was in the Flash, Robert, the show? His voice was. They made it really hard to stick around, but I was like, I love his voice acting, but Savitar sucks ass.
He's also in The Quick and the Dead, the Sam Raimi movie.
Yes, that is a great movie.
And he's like a really goofy, he's a goofy gunslinger in that. Like he's a bad guy, but not threatening at all.
Robert, real quick, what you're saying about this being more of an adult, back to adult. I like that this isn't a movie for adults, but it can also have stupid shit like a puppet on a tricycle riding out to greet a potential murder victim.
And I like that they play it straight. If they put this out now, you get a "oh no" liner. You've got to be kidding me!
Did that just happen?
Did that just happen? And I'm not saying you can't do that well. The Thing has the best "you've got to be kidding me" line in any movie ever. Like you can pull that off.
No, it's just the puppets here now. It's part of the movie.
Well, and that's just really like, imagine being in that situation. That would be genuinely scary to see that. I think.
Yeah,
and I like the attention.
You wouldn't be quipping about it.
Right. I like the attention to detail that she still has scars on her on her mouth, the makeup. Like it's just such a little touch that's very effective. Like you can just feel that.
Mm-hmm. We know how she got those scars now.
Yep. The grossest thing to me is that Liam Whannell's gonna have poop on his hands the entire movie.
And then obviously really Robert Dead by Daylight remakes this set in Dead by Daylight. It's awesome. I hate that map, but that part of it is awesome. No, that map is a nightmare to play on though, because it's like a 3-level map, and so there's a sound that plays when the killer is near, but on that map it plays like if they're near you but above or below you.
Oh. So it's just like confusing spatially.
Yeah.
At least
I'll
they
hit you with
recreated it.
this.
So earlier, somebody made a little jab at Lee Winnell's acting. I think
That
he's
was
really
me.
good in some scenes and really shaky in others.
I think he's fine, except for when he has to be really dramatic. And then there's the infamous. I can't say it's bad acting because it's kind of the point, but the playing dead scene.
That's going for comedy.
Yeah.
He should have directed himself better. Anyway,
Yeah.
this is before he was directing.
I think he's really good in some scenes. I don't think he's bad.
Yeah, this is James Wan directing, you fraud. Oh, okay. So they actually got Carrie Always with that short film.
That's amazing.
Oh, okay.
They sent him that, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to do this."
That's cool.
Oh, for a second I thought you said he was in the short film. It's like,
No.
well, how did they get him for that? That's pretty cool that he said yes based on that.
Hmm. And like scenes like this are fine. They just kind of go on a while when we come back to his daughter. I don't think this needs to be an hour and 43-minute movie. Like this is a 90-minute movie, easy.
Could have been a tight 90 minutes. Yeah, that's fair.
Well,
The
which is what
sequel
I do
was
like about
into
some of
that.
the others is like it is very keep moving, keep going. But part of that is also we have to get this filmed, edited, and post production within a year.
Yeah.
Well, and part of my issue with like a lot of these flashbacks is that I love this premise of just a couple of guys in a room. Like I love it when a movie can stick to just being a one-room drama, and do it well. I get that you need some flashbacks in something like this, and there's plot reasons for it. So I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any, but then I just wish more of the movie was just sitting with these two guys just talking and trying to figure out stuff out. You get that, but you get a lot of this other stuff in between, and then you get to the end and they're trying to go for something a little emotional with Carrie Elwes and Lee Winnell that just doesn't really land for me.
Yeah,
because
Fair
I don't
enough,
feel
yeah.
like I've kind of been invested in their bond as much as the movie wants me to.
Well,
Because
that's
a lot of the
trouble
movie is
when
trying to put them at each other's
Yeah.
throats.
well, in
Yeah, that's
retroactively, it
true.
makes that ending really funny.
That's the trouble when they keep cutting back to the investigation stuff, is that you lose time you could get spending like more time seeing them spend time together.
So no, when you first watched this, were you like, "Oh yes, I see why that's got 9 sequels"?
Yeah. I can see that.
It's always cool when you see just this much iconography and clever ideas and things like just right off the bat from the first one, where it's like, oh, of course, yeah, this is gonna be a hit.
Yeah, like you get the puppet, you get the whole. I mean, that opening scene and just like the whole stuff with Carrie Elways and Lee Winnell in the room is just like iconic.
Mhm.
So
Typing.
he's really typing.
And like I said, I just find Jigsaw's motivation just a little flimsy or inconsistent because sometimes it's like his motivation is, well, you don't appreciate life, and I have little time left, so I'm gonna make you appreciate it and fight for it. Does that apply to a guy who's just cheating on his wife?
Yes, because he doesn't appreciate the life that he has.
Okay.
It is flimsy, but I find it interesting enough that, like, because the whole thing is that cancer has made him have a new lease on life, and so he sees. In this movie, it's a little more flimsy. Like they create more reasons, like, oh, I can see why this person is seeing is not appreciating his life, but like, um, this guy is just he's going through the motions. He's not really there for his family. He doesn't appreciate what he has.
Yeah. Again, if he's more of a scumbag, that works for me. But as we'll see later, like, so what is
But
the idea
remember,
that
he's
he
having an
just
affair.
okay? But is the idea that he just sleeps with her once and then because remember the big scene later is he doesn't fully go through with it, and then I'm not sure. Wait, has this been going on a while? Has this not happened yet? Because the movie is still trying to make you, the audience, like Carrie Elwes. Like they still want you to root for him as a protagonist. So he's not that scummy.
Oh, see, I
Like when
always
he
read it
tells
that this was going on a while, and this was him ending it.
maybe I'm not saying you're wrong. I've only seen
Mm-hmm.
this once, but like when he's talking to his daughter, he seems genuine. Like he's not planning, even if this is a divorce. Like he's not planning on leaving his daughter.
Well, and I don't think it's in this movie, but I think they expand on this. Some of it is personal revenge because he is the one that diagnosed the cancer.
Right, and I was waiting for that twist to come, and it doesn't. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I could be wrong on that part. I'd have to watch through them again.
And I get that this whole trap is primarily for Carrie Elwes' character, but then you have this other guy who, yeah, he's a bad guy who was taking pictures of him, but like at the end of the day, his motivation's money. Again, that's where the whole not appreciating life thing doesn't really factor, you know, because he's still torturing this guy. But like this stuff I like, with the wallet and with the photo.
Actual character stuff.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Adam is scummy enough just in the trap. They're like, yeah, I can see why you're here. Are you happy, Steven?
I don't know. She's nagging. I don't think he did anything wrong.
Hashtag he did nothing wrong. Harry did nothing wrong. Robert's like, I'd cheat on her too.
No, what I like about him though is that he's basically like a Hallmark villain, and then he gets thrown into the saw trap to be a better person.
I mean,
And
we
then-
can all agree the Hallmark movies would be a lot better if they had Jigsaw in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of movies that would be better with Jigsaw. Also, this is creepy.
it's very creepy. Although, to your point, like if your child is scared in the dark, like the first thing you check is the closet. Like you actually check the room. You don't just tuck her in and say it's fine. If your child says there's somebody in my room, like you take that seriously.
Yeah, like he
So maybe he's not a great dad.
he has this facade, which I think is interesting. Of like, yeah, I do love my daughter, but then he half-asses everything.
Mhm.
Laura Vandervoot isn't one of these.
Oh, cool. Now, and again, I'm gonna have a lot of questions like this. Do you think Michael Emerson, who's a great actor, do you think we play him too sadistic and evil throughout this movie when we know what the payoff is, when we know what his motivation is?
No,
because in these scenes we play him like he's very in control and scary.
Definitely in control, but that's just from their perspective. But the movie's consistent with he's just kind of weird.
Yeah, I just wish I knew more about him. And again, like maybe we get something I missed it. Like, do we really get a backstory for him? Is that on the tape at the end? Like,
we'll have to watch and find out because I don't remember. I'm not a big fan of this character because he's just a red herring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it doesn't even bother me while I'm watching it because I'm like, yeah, it's an accomplice. Like, I get that Jigsaw has accomplices, you know, for this stuff to work. But then you get to the end twist, which is fun, but then it makes you rethink the whole movie. Like, wait, does that work?
I like that he's not an accomplice because it shows Jigsaw is smart. Like, this is a layers on layers trap, which we don't get a lot of later on. Also, I would keep Danny Glover just for crazy old man Danny Glover.
Why are you whispering to yourself?
Just trying to live his best life.
What's better, creepy whispering Danny Glover or screaming Danny Glover from Predator 2?
Screaming Danny Glover.
Really great.
Are you a Predator 2 guy, Robert? I don't remember.
Yeah, I like it. It's not one of my favorites.
I'm not.
I like it. Oh,
no, just doesn't like anything fun.
That's true.
I like plenty of fun things. That's not one of them. That movie's not fun.
It's very fun. It's got Bill Paxton.
It's hilarious.
That movie's not good.
You're just
That's
wrong.
Gary Busey.
Well, you also got to remember this is the man that puts Prey over. This is the man that put Prey over Predator.
I liked it more, yeah. I mean,
they're both great movies.
Yeah, they're probably like on par.
So I'm not opposed to nonlinear structure, but what we did was we flashed back.
Also, that car transition.
Yes.
Sorry.
we flash back to Carrie Elwes' family and see how they got captured, and then we shift POV from that to Danny Glover's POV, and now we're flashing back to Danny Glover with Carrie Elwes. It's hurting my brain. Did Christopher Nolan make this movie?
Robert, I need to watch the sequels with you just to get your reaction.
I might do some with you. I might do some.
Yeah, can we do like a Saw-a-thon with Robert?
Because there are things in those late movies that will break your brain.
He's even whispering to Carrie Elwes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think at this point, this is when I forget that we're still in flashback. I assume this is happening in modern day.
Yeah, because now we're flashing back. Oh, no, wait, sorry. This is just like right after that flashback.
I assume.
Where are we? What's happening?
This movie's very dense.
The Jigsaw voice in this is a little different than it will be in the later movies. It's not as deep.
It's very similar to like Robert Englund when you compare the first movie to what the Freddy voice becomes, you know, with the sequels.
Well, and I think so Tobin Bell is the one that beats Englund's record for most times as a horror villain.
That's possible. Is the only one Tobin Bell not in entirely? Is it just Spiral?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's him. Oh, sorry. It's him and Doug Bradley. Because Bradley is in 8. So Tobin Bell would have surpassed him by now. Well, when I say he's in 8, he shows up in the last 5 minutes, says something dumb, and then the movie ends.
But this guy, Danny Glover's partner, we joked about him being in X-Men: The Last Stand. He's in a lot of stuff. He has a small role in The Force Awakens. He's one of the
Oh.
Resistance guys.
Oh.
He's also in Inhumans, that hit show.
I didn't
Everybody's
see it.
favorite Marvel property.
The most recent thing I've seen him in was the Netflix live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender show. He plays General Zhao in that, and he's actually one of the standouts.
Oh, wow.
Like, that movie has a very different take on that character, and it's a good take. Leaning into like just the character being an opportunist and very selfish. And like, it's consistent enough with what the show did, but like he's one of the standouts in the Netflix.
Okay.
Like, he's actually very good.
I don't know if I'll ever watch that show, but it's good to know he was
I don't
good
think
in
you
it.
need to.
Yeah.
The season 2 will be like, okay, I'm either sticking with this or I'm out. Because a lot of it was a slog to get through.
Yeah, I've heard not so great things. But that it's better than the Shyamalan version. This is what I've heard.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, that high bar.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know that guy was in. I mainly know him as Spiky guy from The Last Stand.
Boy.
Yeah.
I think when I was a kid, I thought, because there's a character I think called Spike in X-Men Evolution, I think that was supposed to be the same character.
Oh, okay.
I was very confused.
That character's were weird in Evolution because he's Storm's nephew.
Oh.
Okay. I was gonna say, you've seen Evolution. I haven't. You talk about that.
That show is mid.
Ooh. Fighting words for some.
And this is where I feel like we're in a padding territory. I know it's necessary for why Danny Glover's character goes crazy. It's just we're here in this flashback for a while.
Yeah.
We are.
Maybe this is where the movie should have started. Just this particular scene.
Yeah, I enjoy the vibe of like the detective mixed with like horror stuff. That's one of my favorite like subgenres of horror. I mean, maybe you're right about a lot of the padding.
I mean, we just saw that in Longlegs, and I really liked that movie.
I loved that movie.
It was okay.
No, I loved it. But I think in a lot of those cases, or like Extras 3, which is one of our favorites, like that is the protagonist. And Danny Glover feels more like a side character. It's like we're trying to treat him like a dual protagonist. Even
Listen,
though those
Robert, they spent a lot of money to get Danny Glover, like $20.
That's true.
They're going to use him.
Yeah, it's almost like... It's almost like you had the short film and then they kind of just add this, like, I guess, sequel to it and then mesh it together in one movie.
And then who is this guy? I guess that was my main surprise going into this, is I thought more of the movie was just those two guys in the bathroom than it actually is. Because, I mean, you do get a lot of just different traps and scenarios like this, which isn't a bad thing.
That was my expectation going in when I first watched this, too. I didn't know how much of this was like a detective movie. Which was kind of a pleasant surprise, but...
No, I never had this thought before, but
it's interesting.
With Danny Glover going all rogue like this, they kind of do that again with Donnie Wahlberg in the next one.
Oh, yeah, and I don't remember that movie all too well.
Does Saw 2 feel like a movie designed like you could watch back to back or edit together as one big movie with this one, or does it feel like too much of a repeat of this movie?
It is definitely not a repeat, in my opinion.
It feels very different.
Okay.
But it doesn't feel like, you could watch it edited with this. It is clearly a separate entry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a Halloween 2 situation.
But no, I remember the thing they sold that movie on is finally getting to see Jigsaw in the flesh. And the big trailer line was him laughing, going, "Oh yes, there will be blood." So there's a movie called "There Will Be Blood," and that's all I could think about.
Mhm.
There would be blood.
And this is where I'm so torn because like Tobin great, but the scene only works for me if we don't hear him talk. Like I get it, he's wearing a hood, so we can't see who it is, but like Danny Glover should know that this is not Carrie Elwes.
No, that's
That's
a good
fine.
point.
He's upset about his partner. The movie doesn't act like he's in the right.
He thinks he's got a built-in voice modulator in his hood.
Well, and it's funny too because I've heard people, fans of this franchise, unironically say, Jigsaw, he doesn't kill people. He's not a killer." And then it's like, yeah, because it conveniently works out for him that cutting Danny Glover's throat doesn't kill him. Like, how do you justify his morality in this scenario with these cops?
I
Like,
didn't know that there were fans that said that.
I didn't kill his partner. He ran into the guns. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to chase
I didn't
me.
kill. I didn't kill him. The gun did. Yeah. I didn't slice his throat. The blade did.
I like that the cop is going to leave that guy there.
He's got to catch Jigsaw. I also
the bad guy or save him.
No, but he left that one guy in the trap to die.
Yeah, who cares? Now, just in the context of this movie, I don't think we do enough with the Jigsaw motif. We have like one scene about it with one of the dead bodies. But we don't do a lot with that. It's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it should be a calling card or something.
Well, that's how this movie kind of plays. Is they know it's a Jigsaw victim because he has a Jigsaw piece cut out.
And this is one of the spoilers I knew about. I've heard about this scene. It's really funny seeing Danny Glover stumble around. I am laughing at this man.
He's playing it more like he's drunk.
Go home, Danny. You're drunk.
Danny. I really fucked up. This said it's really goofy. I wish the movie just stopped there on a freeze frame of him and then just text comes up saying what happened.
Danny Glover went on to be in Predator 2.
Yeah,
that was before
14 years earlier.
Yeah.
Well, and that movie's set in the future, but it was 1997. So that's still before this movie.
No, so this is a prequel to Predator 2.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Speaking of Predator,
this is what I'm talking about.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Like, wait, no, like we just saw Michael Emerson. We just saw him, and then we play it like a reveal later when he sees his face. I just saw him.
I will be right back.
Oh, okay.
Well, his face is kind of obscured earlier, right?
Yeah, you see his eye.
You see that's just his eye, but
yeah, but like I just saw the side of his face.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because we know who that actor is, we're able to pick up on that. But if someone was watching it, it's not like a reveal there. Yeah, I'd be really interested to check out the short film just to see how much of this was carried over from that, like specific like dialogue and stuff.
Are you now? Okay, you've seen all the scary movies. Do they do a lot of Saw stuff in any of those?
Okay, just from memory, they do this opening in Saw 4 with Dr. Phil and Shaquille O'Neal of all people. That's all I remember. I don't rewatch those movies often.
That's I'd watch that show, Dr. Phil and Shaquille O'Neal. It's got a good ring to it.
Yeah, Dr. Phil and Shaquille O'Neal, and they have to saw off their legs.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten like the definitive Saw parody, just because it writes itself.
Is it? Okay,
Like,
well, I joked earlier about the movie Slaw. Is that not what that is?
I don't know. Is it good? I don't.
That
know.
is a
It
parody
doesn't
of Saw.
exist.
I've just
Is
seen
it
the
good?
poster. I literally know nothing about it.
What Noah is forgetting to tell you is Brenda hooks up with the puppet in Scary Movie 4 and they have kids.
Oh, great.
So I think I've only seen Scary Movie 4 about one time. That's why I don't remember that.
But when I say this writes itself,
Actually, I'm going to keep my
parody,
camera
it's
off for just a minute.
Okay,
that's cool. But like, it's always a bit convenient when these people are able to figure out the puzzles and the clues.
Yeah.
And I want these guys just to be kids who can't figure anything out. And Jigsaw's on the floor, just like banging his head off. These guys are so stupid. This isn't working. Like, because that's how these always go, right? Like, of course the victims figure it out and stuff. But what if they don't?
Yeah, like it becomes increasingly more obvious as the movie, and like Jigsaw starts giving him hints, and they still don't get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, do this.
And to my understanding is, when these traps, don't work out for people, or when they die, I imagine the formula is usually it's because it's at like the last second. Like, they almost made it and they didn't. Like, I assume they do that a lot in the sequel.
Yes, but there's also a couple where they fall for a game that's not a game, it's more of just a trap and die.
Jigsaw's such an asshole.
No, but he's not a killer. He's a moral man. He's got a code. And I mean, we joke about that. I didn't know that there were Saw fans that really took it that far to say that he's not a killer, but I do like Jigsaw is probably one of my favorite slasher villains. Like, he's a really interesting character, and I think like his code is what makes him fascinating to me.
Well, and Saw X gets a lot of acclaim for making him the main character and humanizing him, and like that is I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I want to see that one. I think that's cool. It's just funny, but still knowing that operates as a sequel to this, it's like, yeah, but you're still a bad guy.
Like, well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, he is a villain. Let's not kid ourselves here.
Yeah, Saw X isn't a movie where you see his good intentions and then just become worse and worse. It's like, no, he's already done all this stuff.
Right.
He's already way far gone.
Right. You've already seen all of this.
Now, did we just see? Now, I wish I wasn't talking over it. Did we see the camera flash on him walking through the parking lot here?
I missed it.
If so, that's good attention to detail. I do like that there are layers to some of these flashbacks.
Should be paying more attention on this film commentary.
Yeah, no.
Now, were you confused about what was happening here? Like, is she crawling out of the car? But why was she in there?
She's she's crawling.
Yeah, she was crawled out of the back seat. The back seat door is open.
But why though?
Or no, sorry. Actually, I don't know if it's Amanda at this point.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know exactly in the timeline when she joins him.
Turns out it's actually Carrie Elways from the future.
I'm shocked we haven't gotten anything about Saw 11.
We know it's coming. Like, it's got a date.
Isn't it supposed to come out like in a month?
No, I think it's next year. It might have gotten pushed back, but I think.
Oh, Saw 11 delayed to 2025. Okay.
Okay.
It's good. They're taking their time. Isn't what?
No, I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure that Tobin Bell is coming back. I think was.
There's no way. Like he will do that until he dies.
Yeah, that's the sad thing. Is like, oh man, it'd be great if like Saw X is like a great send off for him. But if he's content just doing these as long as he can, that's fine. Let the man work.
Yeah.
He should be in more franchises.
Well, it's crazy because he's 80.
Mm-hmm.
Is it distracting in Saw X? Like, does he look a lot older in that?
He looks a lot older. It's more distracting with Amanda because they try to give her a haircut to make her look younger, and it looks really bad.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe it's more of a problem if you watch 2 and X back to back. Again, I haven't seen X, but like,
well, that's how I'm going to show them to you.
But in this movie, you don't see him a lot. You know, like you don't really get a good look at him besides from a couple shots.
So, no, because at the end, you can't even tell who that is.
I wonder how many people genuinely called the twist of this movie, or were just smug assholes like, "Oh, I totally knew that guy on the floor was going to be Jigsaw." Because I have no idea.
I feel like there's no way.
Right, it's like if somebody, that's a hard thing to believe, right?
Yeah.
Like Sixth Sense, I understand figuring out what's going on like halfway through this movie. I don't know if I can believe anyone says like, I totally knew the guy on the floor was Jigsaw. It's Tobin Bell. You know, like if they saw it in 2004. Like I don't.
Weirdly enough, this was one of the few examples of like a famous twist that I didn't know. So when I watched this for the first time, I was like, "Oh shit, what?" Whereas I did know The Sixth Sense, because that's a much more famous twist.
Right. And like I said, like we've seen Michael Emerson, like we've seen the side of his face several times now, and we're still gonna make a reveal of him later.
Yeah, but I can see most people like not picking up on who that guy is. Like, we've only seen his face in full at like the hospital at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, it also just depends on how much you just know movies and know movie conventions, because he's not just in the background. Like we do stop to give that guy a couple lines and get a close up of him, and if you're accustomed to movies, you know, like, oh, that's gonna be
like this guy's important.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Saw 11 is just going to be a sequel to 10. So we're just going to keep making movies in between 2 and 3.
That's what it's the same as the Alien franchise. I'm telling you, we're just gonna make movies between a couple of them for forever. That is the future of this franchise.
I'm fine with that.
But I do, you know, even though the scene's really goofy, I like the idea of it, trying to fake his death. They don't go about it great, but I appreciate the effort.
Nope. Nah, that's not a bad idea.
And it also only works with 2004 cameras that, as we see, have really shitty quality and like no audio.
He's such a good actor.
You make this movie now, and you hear Cary Elwes whispering, saying what he's gonna do.
I want to see that scene, but just see like see Michael Emerson behind the camera, like, oh.
But and the chains being rigged to electrocute them is a fun idea. It's an extra obstacle.
Stop acting.
And so I love Cary Elwes. I always have. I think he's great in this. I think some of his when he has to go really big and emotional, I think some of those scenes aren't great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because I mostly know him as Robin Hood, so I just kind of hear that.
Yeah, for me it's Princess Bride, though I have seen.
I
Robin
still
Hood
need to see that.
This is a
amazing.
fun sequence.
This is a fun sequence. I'm surprised by the placement of it. You think they would have put this later after we get the confession about him knowing who Cary Elwes is.
All of the Reds.
He's a
But
photographer.
This shot's really good. With the hole in the door, holding on the photograph, and panning out. Like I said, there is some good direction in this movie. If I had a nickel for every time I woke up in the dark, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
This is kind of a nitpick, but what do you guys think of the score for this movie? Because I think it sounds really dated in a few places, and that was one of those places.
The only thing in the score that I sticks out to me as like good, great, or good is the end music during the twist.
The end, yeah.
That part's really cool. How do you feel about the song choice during the credits?
I don't even remember what it is.
I don't even remember.
I don't stick around for the credits very often in these movies.
It's the only part of the movie that feels like, oh, we're trying to. It feels like a song you'd get at the end of a Final Destination movie. It's the only thing that feels like we're going for a teen audience.
Can you imagine watching this movie and seeing the end, and then the credits start rolling, and it's the song from the Mask of the Phantasm credits?
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah. That's my go-to bad credit music.
Oh yeah, this is one of those sequences where you either go with it or you don't. It's clever and it looks cool with him using the camera flash, but it's not what I would do in this situation. I would just run out of there.
Well, this guy's kind of dumb.
That's true.
Like we've established many times.
Also, people say that 90% of people that say, oh, I would just leave, I don't believe you.
Nah, I'm bailing.
Not you specifically. Just I hear that criticism a lot in horror movies, and I'm like, I don't know if I believe you.
I wouldn't even be in this situation. I'd just get out of there.
Once I see the puppet, I'm just running.
No, yeah, fair enough. Once you see the puppets, get the fuck out.
And also, I get the idea that it's pitch black, but I think maybe not everyone, but I think most people have a good enough sense of the layout of where they live that you would know, even in the dark, how to get to the door and run out.
Well, nowadays you just use your phone if you need a light.
It's true.
So, points against this movie for being made 20 years ago.
Who's in there?
What is that noise?
Oh, have we already gotten to the scene? I guess we have with the box. Because that's with the cigarettes in it. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because he spoke the
yeah. Well,
beep
that's
up
where
Robert.
that's where he gets the cell phone, right? Okay, yeah. That's one of my favorite bad lines in this. He takes the cell phone out. I can't. And Lee Winnell's like, a cell phone, and I was like, yeah, I know what a cell phone is. That was really weird.
It's this newfangled technology for people in 2004. We have to tell the audience what it is.
That's how it feels. That's because it's 2004. Like, cell phones start in the 90s. Like,
yeah.
But that's how it feels. It's like, hey, that's a cell phone.
Do you know what that is? That's a cell phone.
That's one of my other favorite bad lines. Daddy?
Daddy. Oh, we're gonna pick on a kid actor now? Okay, John. He hasn't even cut off his foot yet, and he looks really pale.
That's true.
You're under those lights for hours.
No, yeah.
Yes, Tyler. We talked about the short film earlier. None of us have watched it. Just try to track that down.
I'd like to watch
it.
He
came in with that, like, hey, did you know that there's a short film?
Mm-hmm.
Just because it reminds because it reminds me of the and I'm guilty of this too. I'm not saying I'm not, but it reminds me of that. Did you know that Jason's not the killer in the first Friday movie?
Oh my god, those people are the worst. We're too far past that. You can't play that card post Scream.
No, I was gonna say I learned that from Scream. John making fun of our audience.
Tyler says, "Oh, okay, it's Australian. Is it?"
Well, I mean, the director and writer are Australian.
James Wan is Australian?
I believe so.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
No wonder he hasn't made a good movie since. But
that even makes sense, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, that might also be affecting Lee Winnell's performance because he's also probably hiding his accent.
Right.
Hey, Robert, did you know that he needs to know the truth?
Stop the lies. You're a liar.
Yeah, and in like 20 minutes, they're going to have this really emotional heart together. Like I said, the Danny Glover stuff just feels really disconnected from what's going on with the two of them, and I don't think there's a strong enough payoff to it, at least to this movie.
He rescues his wife.
Barely.
He's bad at his job.
But you could easily cut him out of that. Like, because she frees herself first and then fights back. It's like, just go with that. Like, you could easily write him out of that sequence. And this is where I'm confused on. Okay, so this is Cary Elwes' character. This is his alibi, right? Why he's able to prove to the police that he's not the killer, because this is where he was seeing this lady. But then we, the audience, see that he doesn't go through with it and wants to end it. And again, just on first viewing, I'm like, wait, so were they seeing each other for a while? Or was this going to be the first time? Because he doesn't go through with it. But again, maybe I just missed something. Because she has some lines about like, oh yeah, I don't really know how this works. Because he's like, I told you when I'd be here, you shouldn't have paged me. That's a dated thing, the pager.
Yeah. We gotta explain to the youngins what pagers are.
Yeah, she's like, it's not like I know the rules. I'm just like not sure how long this has been going on. If they've even hooked up at all before.
I can buy why this is enough for Jigsaw to be like, yeah, you're still scummy
Sure.
Okay, so I will meet you in the middle, Robert. I don't think he's slept with her before, but he's done this before. He has it down to
Maybe.
a science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think you could also read it as for a lot of, especially for a lot of first-time cheaters, being very paranoid and like thinking it out, like very methodical with it. Like I'm sure that happens.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to Jigsaw being more villainous in this movie than he is in sequels, where I can see, I buy that from his perspective. This is a crime worth torturing someone over.
Yeah, and then with Amanda, all we get is, oh, she's a smoker, so she has to go through this horrible scared.
No, she's a drug addict.
Program. Oh, a drug addict, right.
She's addicted to cigarettes, the worst drug.
Robert's living in like a 90s high school PSA.
I always am.
Say no to cigarettes.
So, like we were saying earlier, like the reason is there. It's just very flimsy. Like, yeah, I think you could have made this character a little bit more scummy.
I'm also fine with just Jigsaw being, a killer. He doesn't need to have a concrete motive. He believes it, which is enough for me. That's true.
He's not a killer. He only
I don't need to agree with Jigsaw. I don't need to agree with Jigsaw. I just need to understand how he got here, and I buy that he sees this as not appreciating life.
Right. I think I'm just like wanting more. I want more of his motivation stuff, which I know will come in the sequels.
Robert, there's 10 movies.
And like I said, I like the idea of, oh, these people don't appreciate life. They don't appreciate their time. I'm going to make them appreciate that. But then again, with Leland Winnell's character, that doesn't really apply. He's just a means to an end, or like, well, you're a bad person who takes photos, so you deserve this. Like
he doesn't
very flimsy.
He doesn't. He uses his life to watch other people live their life, so he doesn't appreciate his own life.
I guess.
Tyler, whoa, is Robert going to be the next Jigsaw and put everyone in a trap because they smoke cigarettes? Yes.
Yes.
He's going to start with you, Tyler.
You don't know that Tyler smokes cigarettes.
Yeah, but as long as Robert believes he does, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I buy Robert's motivation.
Yeah, no, like, Adam's kind of a unrepenting scumbag. Like, I buy that he's here.
But isn't he literally a cop?
No, he got fired. I think once you get fired, you're no longer a cop.
I don't know if that's how that works.
Once a cop, always a cop.
You got to not play by the rules, John.
Tyler wants to know what our favorite Saw sequels are. At this point, it's 10. And then
I had a ranking, but I forget what it was off the top of my head.
We gotta make Robert watch him, and then we gotta redo the ranking, folks.
3 was one of my favorites. from what I remember. And then I also enjoyed Jigsaw, I guess more than most people do.
Is 3 the one that kills him off, or does that come later?
Yeah.
That's 3, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why
that was really
10 has to be
divisive.
between 2 and 3. Well, it's just funny because we have to keep creating new reasons to make flashbacks so we can have Tobin Bell in the movie. Which is why I said, if these flashbacks break your brain, just wait till we get the sequels. Where like 50% of them are flashbacks.
Weirdly enough, I also enjoyed 6, despite that forced like commentary.
6 has some really cool traps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. The only one I really dislike is Spiral.
Yeah, 7 is also really hard to get through.
That's probably the worst of the original 7. We should have watched it in 3D.
Robert has only seen this one.
Yep.
Because Robert doesn't actually watch movies until we make them.
And you call yourself a horror fan.
Yeah.
Says the man who hadn't seen them until I made you. Sorry.
Look, they're making a really big deal about this reveal and explaining who this guy is. I'm like, yeah, I've seen his face like 3 times.
You've seen his face
the
once,
side of his
though.
face. No, there's another part where he's looking at the monitor, and it's not like darkly lit.
Yeah,
like
Fair. This is more of a real deal for the character instead of the audience.
Nah, they play it like it's for the audience.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my god, it's almost 6 o'clock.
Oh no.
We're out of time.
I know one shot where it focused on the clock, it like turned into an episode of 24.
But like I said, the wife frees herself, and I like this bit when they pretend to still be tied up. You know, like that. Good job, mom. That's clever.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting to a frustrating thing where I'm like, just shoot him. Easier said than done, I'm sure, but like, come on.
You know exactly what you would do in all of these situations, don't you?
I've seen enough movies.
Tyler says, I like 6, probably my favorite sequel. That's the only one I had on DVD as a kid.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Seems like a random one to have on DVD. And what Saw movies do you have in your collection? 6.
Why is that more random than any of the other ones, though?
I don't know. Like, how many people do you know only own the 6th movie in a franchise?
There are some movies. There's some movies where I only own one in a franchise.
But is it typically the like 6th entry in that franchise?
When I was a kid, I only had Empire for Star Wars, because that's the one I would watch the most.
Okay, but like that's different. That's owning the 2nd movie without the first one is different. Owning just only the 6th one.
I don't know, but with this, does it really matter that much? It's Saw.
Hey.
I'm sorry. I find this scene frustrating. He's slowly approaching her and then gets the drop on her with the gun. I'm like, oh, come on. She loses this fight just so Danny Glover's subplot can matter, so he can save the day. You can easily rewrite this as, oh, she fights back, maybe shoots Michael Emerson, and then he runs away and gets to the end of the movie.
She's a normal person. She probably has a hard time shooting someone.
Robert just really doesn't want Danny Glover to be in this movie.
Yeah.
I love him. I just don't think that somewhat amounts to much. She just stabbed him in the leg with scissors. Like, and we have a horrible shootout coming up. Like, this scene is so goofy. Like I said, my problem with the subplot is it just doesn't amount to much. Like, yeah, she stabs him in the leg, gets her daughter, gets out of there, and then he runs back to home base. Like, the subplot isn't adding anything now. It's just a really silly shootout. That's gonna lead to a very silly car chase. And I find the cutting back and forth with Carriola is just crying really funny.
Wow. I mean, you're just not taking this movie seriously enough. This is art. No, no, I get what you're saying.
I think Robert just doesn't like black people in his horror movies.
Whoa.
No, that's Noah.
No.
Hey, I like Predator 2. He's the one who said Predator 2 was the worst movie ever made.
I love Danny Glover.
I mean, that is true. No, that is one of your worst takes.
Is it?
Tyler wants to know, what did you guys think of the Wolfman trailer? There was a trailer with Wolfman.
It wasn't horrible, but it looks very cheap.
No, so I didn't really have much of a reaction to the trailer, but the reveal of the Wolfman beforehand, that was the thing I was like, what? Like, what is this?
This car chase is so silly. It's just a black screen behind them with some lights.
Oh no.
Every time we cut back to them just driving, it looks so funny.
Oh, wait, that does look really stupid.
Thank you.
I just got to that. Yeah.
And the speeding up the footage doesn't help. It's trying to make it more intense.
It looks like when characters drive in a sitcom, but it's edited in that like late 90s, early 2000s way. We're just getting back to more of Lee Winnell's amazing acting. Lawrence, get up!
Oh god. But back to the Wolfman thing though. It's important to remember. Based on the trailer, I don't think that's exactly how he's gonna look. Remember, it's just a Halloween Horror Nights event thing. And based on the trailer, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really match what we saw. So
well, then what?
I'm not getting worked up over that.
What did they reveal then? Like, what was the point of revealing that?
So the thing that nobody's taking in mind with that is there's still like touch up and post production that'd be done.
Also, I've been to Universal Halloween Horror Nights a couple times now. The stuff you see isn't always stuff that's in the movie. Sometimes they'll just do whatever and just have fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck also, you, Noah.
Well, they shouldn't have made me think that that's what the fucking Wolfman's gonna look like.
But did Universal put that out, or was it someone else that just recorded that and put it out, and then everyone ran with it and said, "First look at the Wolfman"?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think that was like somebody uploaded it.
Yeah, it seems more like that situation.
He looks like a troll.
Yeah. Okay, I get that he's very distressed. I would have grabbed the saw to hook the phone. That's just what I was thinking while I was watching it. Like, just use the saw to hook the phone.
You're so much
I'm very
smarter than all of these characters.
I would do that before I would saw off my foot.
Now he's desperate. Now.
But I mean, the scene's still fine. It's an iconic scene. It's just funny the way they
Robert's
try to make
so judgy.
Part of it.
He hates this movie.
Oh
I'm thinking he does.
The scene's really over the top.
It is, but it's shocking. That's the thing that, like we said earlier, this movie relies more on like shock value than something like Seven.
Yeah.
Tyler says it could be a mid transformation thing, but I did think he looked like a hobo.
Yeah, okay, so I want this on camera in case I'm right. If that guy we saw in that goblin looking costume like is like really, if like that's for sure in the movie, my prediction is that's probably like the proto wolf or werewolf character that bites our main guy and then turns him into the Wolfman later, because we do that a lot, like in the 35 Werewolf of London or the Joe Johnston 2010 remake. Like the proto werewolf in that does look more like a goblin and less like traditional, you know, compared to what our main character. That's my prediction, if that's like at all in the movie. Because I have seen stuff like that.
This will horribly date this commentary.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for that, Robert.
I didn't bring it up.
It was all you. You were like, let's talk about the Wolfman.
Let's talk about the Wolfman. And so that's our payoff for the Danny Glover subplot. Mm-hmm. Got shot. He did nothing.
Yeah, you're right. This movie does suck.
No, he saved that family. Come on, he's a hero.
It barely. She stabbed him in the leg, like, and then like that. You could cut out that shootout and you miss nothing. I do like how he played this out with him shooting him in the shoulder. Like he still doesn't want to be a killer. He still doesn't want to kill him. And in a tragic twist, everybody's fine. You didn't have to cut off your foot, Carrie was.
No, I really like how this scene plays out. Of how tragic and just like terrible it is. Honestly, they could have ended it with this movie, made no sequels, and I think it would have been fine. But
maybe I still would have a lot of questions.
Who cares?
And I get that
this ending is fantastic.
It is. Now I get that Michael Emerson's character isn't very smart, but I don't know. I feel like if you went to the police, they might be able to get you to a hospital and figure out what drug is in you. Like, I don't know. Feels a little contrived.
Perhaps, yeah. I probably should have watched this again before doing because every criticism you're bringing up, I'm just like, yeah, sure.
Well, like I'm sure you forgot about like the car chase, so when you saw that,
yeah, no, I did. Yeah,
it's so funny.
It looks really stupid. Yeah.
I don't know. It's
this
fine.
is still my favorite of the franchise. I'd have to do a whole series rewatch though.
I like this scene. It's just very melodramatic. And why I wish more of the movie was just these two guys. Kind of earned this.
Yeah, that's fair. It does, the stuff with the investigation does set up how, like, just like stuck and like convoluted the rest of the franchise will be with its plots.
Oh, I'm sure. Lawrence, Stella. This is really emotional.
Spoilers: he does not bring someone back.
I just want a shot of him crawling by and see Danny Glover and be like, "What the fuck? What I miss?"
Oh, you missed everything.
Carol is crawling out of the movie.
Goodbye. I'll bring someone back.
Yo, what's
He's
up,
like
Jareth?
Frosty the Snowman. He'll be back someday.
He'll be back again someday.
I think they're about to start playing the banger song, the twist at the end.
The only good track in the movie.
So yeah, Robert, this is how every movie will end from now on. This song will start playing, and something insane will be revealed.
This is of course also very influential on how the narratives of the rest of the sequels will go. Because like John said earlier, like we have to have a twist at the end of every one. So much so where one of the movies exists to explain a twist. This franchise is great.
Can we get Michael Emerson back and do a prequel to this movie that's just his side of the story? Even though he's 20 years older.
Yeah.
That's such a great shot of him turning to see the guy getting up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what?
This is amazing. So it's the idea that like Jigsaw, did he take like a drug or something that like had him out for a certain amount of time? Like this is him waking up.
Yeah.
Because I've heard people criticize this twist and say, "Oh, it's absurd that he'd fake that for the whole time." But I think they make it pretty
They
clear.
they explain in the very next movie. He takes a drug and times it so he will be up at this specific moment.
Also, we are like 10 minutes after 6. You know, like
Yeah.
It's not like it's to the dot. The key to the chain is in the bathtub.
The image of him just lying there, like not knocked out and pretending to be dead, is really funny to me. Because it's like, oh, that guy over there's breathing.
And this is the way this is edited. It's like Adam is having flashbacks to scenes he didn't see.
Oh, true.
Want to play a game?
Do you remember this whole movie?
That's how it plays.
Well, do you, the audience, remember all of these scenes that just flashed?
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
And then this is I think a great like final shot.
No, this is a good note to leave on.
Game over.
Game over. Is this a video game movie?
Game over. Happy ending.
Yeah. So I don't remember the credits music. What is this?
It's very of the time. Like I said, it would fit perfectly in like a Final Destination movie.
I'm just listening to it now. Yeah, it's just it's very like in line with the rest of the score. It's very average early 2000s. Anyway.
Michael Emerson.
Well, that was Saw.
It's not rocky enough for Final Destination, though, is the thing.
It's more like slow and atmospheric. And introducing Lee Winnell. What did he go on to do?
That classic
Wait,
actor.
What are you guys? Because this just turned into like the Saw theme. Is that what you guys are hearing?
Yeah, this is.
No, I'm hearing a song.
What? It's just the song.
Yeah, there's lyrics.
Oh,
that is not what I'm hearing.
You get
because I'm watching the unrated version.
The unrated cut.
Yeah.
Okay, that must be one of the changes. They changed.
You're watching this on Max?
I was gonna say it just sounds like more score. That's what I was trying to say earlier.
That's one of the. That's what's funny is that we were pretty synced up the whole movie. That's like got to be one of the two unrated changes. Is
I wonder what the differences are, because we were pretty much synced up.
I wonder if like it's probably just the cutting off the what scene like that probably goes on a few seconds longer in your cut.
Maybe, yeah.
Because you don't see much of it in the theatrical.
Well, everyone, that was Saw.
That's Saw.
It was.
The 20th anniversary. Now we're going to do the next 8.
I gotta get going.
Oh.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Do you want to pull up Max real quick, just so you can like?
Once I'm done streaming.
Camera. Okay. Just so you can hear the song. Because it's just very of the time.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to it.
But anyway, that was Saw for the 20th anniversary. Robert, did you play a game? Did you want to play a game?
I did play a game. It was pretty good. Are we rating it? Do we still rate these?
We do ratings.
Not usually in commentaries, but Robert, since you're new to the franchise and you haven't seen any of the others, what are your thoughts so far?
It's pretty good. I have a lot of questions, which isn't a bad thing. Like, it makes me want to watch more of these, even though I know they get very convoluted and silly. I'd give this a 3.5. I like it.
So we're doing Saw 2 right now, right?
Sure. I could see myself bumping that score a little once I see a lot of the other movies. But Saw X is the one I have high hopes for. I'm really looking forward to that one. But
you heard it here, folks. We're going to do Saw 2 right after.
No, we're not.
Goodbye.
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 Noah, get back here. I'll chase you to the ends of the earth.
Shocker.
We saw some house reveal.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah, we did, because you got up too fast. Your green screen couldn't keep up.
No. You're not see my house.
He's so house shy.
I don't want people to see my house. I think I also have it as a 3.5 on Letterboxd.
Oh, okay.
It's probably my favorite of the franchise.
That's just because you're wrong.
But even then, it's not like a masterpiece or anything. There's some issues in it.
Saw 2 is better. But anyway, we will be back in a little bit. Robert needs a break. No, I'm just kidding.
I do.
Robert, you did 8 hours of Smallville. What happened?
I have some stuff I need to take care of. We'll be back in an hour. That's the plan.
Yeah, we'll be back in an hour with Stranger Things. Till then, have a Jared also gives it a 4 out of 5. My man. But yeah, if we can, we'll try to get Robert's reaction to some more of the sequels on camera. If not, oh well. But anyway, have a good night, everybody, and we will see you in an hour.
See you.